Have you ever wondered about the man behind the "I have a dream" speech? Let's peel back the layers of history and delve into the life of Martin Luther King Jr., a pivotal figure in the American civil rights movement. Born in the year 1929, Martin Luther King Jr. was not just a man, but a symbol of hope and resilience for millions. His birthplace, Atlanta, Georgia, was a city steeped in the traditions of the South, and it was here, in the heart of the segregated South, that King's journey began. Born into a family of pastors, King was no stranger to the pulpit. His father, Martin Luther King Sr., was a respected reverend who instilled in his son the importance of faith and the power of the spoken word. From an early age, King was immersed in an environment that nurtured his intellectual curiosity and fostered his profound sense of justice. Education played a significant role in shaping King's ideology and his approach to civil rights. After graduating from high school at the tender age of 15, King moved north to attend Morehouse College, where he earned a degree in sociology. This was just the beginning of his academic journey. He went on to study at Crozer Theological Seminary in Pennsylvania and later earned a doctorate in systematic theology from Boston University. It was during his time in Boston that King began to deeply study the works of Mahatma Gandhi. The philosophy of nonviolent resistance resonated with King, and he began to see how it could be applied to the struggle for civil rights in America. So, who was Martin Luther King Jr.? He was a son, a student, a pastor, and a scholar. But more than anything, he was a man with a dream that would change the course of history and inspire generations to come. But who was Martin Luther King Jr. before he became a national icon? To answer that, we need to look beyond the "I have a dream" speech and delve deeper into the life of the man behind the dream. Imagine a young King, barely 26, leading the Montgomery bus boycott. In the year 1955, a spark was ignited in the heart of Montgomery, Alabama. The arrest of Rosa Parks, a seamstress and civil rights activist who refused to give up her seat to a white passenger on a city bus, was the catalyst. Discontent had been simmering for a long time, and this act of defiance was the match that kindled the flame of protest. Martin Luther King Jr., then a young and relatively unknown pastor, found himself thrust into the limelight. As the newly elected president of the Montgomery Improvement Association, King was tasked with leading the boycott of the city's bus system. It was a daunting challenge for anyone, let alone a young pastor with no prior experience in civil rights activism. But King was no ordinary man. He was armed with a powerful weapon, his words, and the ability to inspire. He rallied his congregation, his community, and eventually the whole nation, with speeches that spoke of equality, justice, and the power of nonviolent protest. His philosophy was simple, yet profound. Fight not with fists, but with love and understanding. For over a year, the black community of Montgomery, under King's leadership, boycotted the city buses. They walked miles to work, to school, to church, braving all kinds of weather. Their determination was unwavering, their spirit unbreakable. King's leadership during this year-long protest brought him national attention. He became the face of the civil rights movement, a beacon of hope for millions of African Americans. The Montgomery bus boycott was his baptism of fire, a test that he passed with flying colors. It marked the birth of a leader, a man who would go on to change the course of history. And with this, a leader was born. But the journey was far from easy. What does it take to fight for a dream? Martin Luther King Jr. asked himself this question daily as he spearheaded the American civil rights movement in the mid-20th century. As a key figure in the struggle for equality, King's influence was far-reaching and profound. His leadership within the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, or SCLC, was pivotal in the fight against racial segregation and discrimination. King's embrace of nonviolent protest was a defining aspect of his leadership. He believed in the power of peaceful demonstrations and civil disobedience to effect change, and this belief was rooted in his deep religious conviction. He was a preacher after all, a man of faith who saw the fight for civil rights as a moral duty. In the early 60s, King's commitment to nonviolent action was put to the test during the Birmingham Campaign in Alabama, a series of protests against racial segregation. Despite facing brutal police violence and public criticism, King and his fellow activists persisted, their refusal to back down ultimately leading to significant legal victories. Then came the momentous year of 1963, a pivotal time in the civil rights movement. King stood on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., and delivered his iconic "I Have a Dream" speech. In front of a crowd of hundreds of thousands, he shared his vision of a future where his children wouldn't be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. A dream of a nation where freedom and justice would be realities for all, not just a privileged few. These events, among others, highlight King's tireless efforts in the struggle for equality. His dream was not just a fanciful hope, but a goal he was actively striving to achieve. His commitment to his dream was unyielding, his methods peaceful but powerful, and his impact immeasurable. King was not just dreaming, he was fighting for this dream. What was the cost of this dream? Martin Luther King Jr., a man of unwavering courage and conviction, faced a multitude of challenges in his pursuit of equality. His dream, a vision of a world where all individuals would be judged by their character rather than their color, carried a hefty price tag. King's commitment to nonviolent protest and civil disobedience wasn't always met with understanding or acceptance. Perhaps one of the most notable instances of this was during the Birmingham campaign. King was arrested and confined in a jail cell, his only crime being a fervent desire for justice and equality. But even within the cold, unforgiving walls of the prison, King's resolve remained unbroken. He penned his famous Letter from Birmingham Jail, a powerful testament to his unwavering commitment to the fight for civil rights. But the challenges didn't cease with his release. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, under the direction of J. Edgar Hoover, began a relentless surveillance campaign against King. Accusations were thrown, privacy invaded, and threats made. Yet, King held steadfast, his eyes never straying from the path of justice. And then, there was Vietnam. His controversial stance against the war led to criticism from both his allies and opponents. Many felt he should stick to civil rights, that his voice had no place in the discourse on war and peace. To them, King's response was simple. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. He believed that the struggle for civil rights in America was inseparably linked to the struggle for peace in Vietnam. The price of King's dream was steep. It demanded courage, resilience, and an unyielding belief in the power of love and justice. It required him to stand against the tide, to face criticism, threats, and even imprisonment. Yet in the face of adversity, King remained steadfast. His dream, though costly, was a beacon of hope, a call to action, and a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity. King's life ended tragically in 1968, but what remains of his legacy? A profound hush fell over the nation on April 4, 1968, as the news of Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination reverberated through every home, every street, every heart in America. A beacon of hope and equality was extinguished, leaving in its wake a nation in mourning. Yet it was in this profound sorrow that the true magnitude of King's legacy began to take shape. King's fight for equality was punctuated by two significant legislative victories that forever changed the landscape of American society: the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. These acts outlawed racial segregation and discrimination, and protected the voting rights of all citizens, irrespective of their race or color. They were monumental triumphs that marked the culmination of King's tireless efforts in the face of relentless adversity. But King's legacy extends far beyond the realm of legislation. His words, his wisdom, his dream continue to inspire millions around the globe. His famous "I Have a Dream" speech, delivered on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial in 1963, echoed a vision of a world where people would not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. This dream, rooted in the ideals of justice and equality, continues to resonate, inspiring countless individuals to strive for a world free of prejudice and discrimination. King's legacy is not confined to the pages of history books, but lives on in the hearts and minds of those who believe in his dream. His life serves as a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity, and his words continue to echo, reminding us all that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So, as we reflect on the life and legacy of Martin Luther King Jr., let us remember that his dream was not just his alone, but a dream shared by millions, a dream that continues to inspire, to motivate, and to guide us towards a world of equality and justice. More than half a century later, Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream still lives on.